How 3 hidden 1-ups eluded players for years in Super Mario 3D World. We're back on a quest for absurd extra lives in Mario games, and this one honestly really surprised me. Now, we've covered difficult 1-ups in the past, but we have yet to touch on Super Mario 3D World. It's a game I really haven't covered a whole lot on this channel, but that's about to change. Hidden 1-ups in Mario games are honestly the ultimate prize when it comes to finding secret things. Think about it. If a developer wants to test a player's skill with something difficult, or to reward their ultimate sense of adventure, then they have to use something that has value but isn't a required collectible. Think about the giant hidden coin stashes that were placed in hard-to-reach spots in Odyssey. If these coin collections had an object you for sure needed, then the difficulty of obtaining the treasure would have probably been adjusted so that all ages and skill levels could accomplish the goal. They couldn't be a moon in Odyssey, just like they couldn't be a green star or a stamp in Super Mario 3D World. But if you want a way to tip your hat to a skilled player, then hidden 1-ups are the way to go. The hardest collectibles are often those without significant value. They just exist as a checkpoint to signal that the player has overcome the challenge. And in today's video, these collectibles are in a very unexpected place. I hope you enjoy. Super Mario 3D World has finally made its way to the Nintendo Switch, and I'm excited to take it with me on the go. But 3D World isn't the only title I'm excited about. The sci-fi action MMO Skyforge has just arrived on Switch. In Skyforge, you play as an immortal who can unleash crazy celestial powers. You'll team up with players all around the world to explore and defend an ever-evolving universe. And what's neat is Skyforge is free to download and play, and you don't even need a Switch Online subscription to get it. In the game, you'll be able to swap between 18 different classes, each with their own unique abilities and combat advantages. And the combat has been tailored specifically for the Switch Joy-Cons and Pro Controller, so you can play whenever and wherever. Players can download Skyforge for free on Nintendo Switch on February 4th, which includes the complete Skyforge experience. If you want a 2-day head start before everyone else, you can always snag the Nintendo eShop bundles early. And if you complete the game's tutorial before March 6th, you'll receive some free launch gifts. So, if you want to embark on your next biggest adventure in Skyforge, click my link in the description below. And a big thanks to Skyforge for sponsoring this video and supporting me as a creator. I've sort of become accustomed to the idea that 3 1-ups grouped together in a Mario game is basically the ultimate treasure trove for a curious player. The mark of a level designer's personal challenge. In Super Mario Galaxy 2, we had 3 1-ups in Slip Sand Galaxy that were fairly difficult to obtain. Not impossible, but tedious. And we saw that by going through this annoying ordeal, the player was rewarded with 3 1-ups. So, when I discovered that there was another elusive set of green shrooms ready for the taking, I saddled up. So today's challenge actually takes us to World 4-5 in Super Mario 3D World, a stage called Spike's Lost City. In this level, you'll encounter a ton of spikes who somehow pull these giant spiked rods out of their mouths. A miserable existence sitting atop this hill doing this for all of eternity. This level takes us through a multitude of ruins until we eventually come to some swaying platforms. And then the level ends. So let's go back to the start. This giant rock wall here near the start, this wall that goes on for what seems like forever, that's where our prize is at. On the very tip top of this wall is 3 1-ups that most players have walked by for years. And it's not because people weren't curious. We all tried climbing the walls here. Heck, one of the stars here requires us to climb a wall to reach it. But this wall is a bit different. It's actually a double wall. And the second wall is unclimbable utilizing normal methods. So I really began brainstorming to try to understand how the developer who put it here truly intended us to get them. Of course, there's no true documentation for these 1-ups online anywhere. Before making this video at least, you could search for any combination of hidden 1-ups or secrets on this particular level and turn up empty-handed. So I had to turn to the strategy guide, which I didn't own. Now, of the strategy guides for Super Mario 3D World, there is one that is essentially the Omega version. It's the collector's edition, a hardcover book that I originally sold for like $35. It took me a bit to track one down online, but I ordered a sealed copy to make sure I got everything that came in the bundle. If any book had information on these 1-ups, it was going to be this one. The pamphlets that come with it even say it contains all the secrets. Quote, "The best locations for getting 1-ups, shortcuts, star rankings, and more. Find everything. Fully labeled maps show the location for every single power-up." And that's what we want, right? These neat overhead maps that lists every obtainable, including 1-ups. So I flip this bad boy open and start sifting through its glorious pages until we get to World 4-5. And now we just... Oh, all the secrets, huh? Did the collector's edition just clickbait me? We have the huge overhead map here, but none of these extra lives are listed on it. They aren't found in the text on the supporting page, and even if we flip to the back of the book, the secret section has no record of them. I found this interesting because the strategy guide for Super Mario Galaxy 2 at least listed off the hard to get 3 1-up circles. Yet, here we are. I suppose that makes these mushrooms that much cooler though. No one except the very best and most curious Super Mario 3D World players have ever obtained them, or even know of their existence. But yeah, about that. Let's talk about obtaining them. So in order to attempt this double wall climb, you're going to need some power-ups from a different stage, because the cat suit is not found in this level. So we need to go through the level until we find a giant hill where spikes roll down. There'll be 3 Goombrats at the bottom, and that is where the wall ends. It runs from the beginning of the level all the way over here. With the cat suit, we can easily climb the first part of the wall. But once we get to the second section, we begin to feel like we're taking on the Dawn Wall at El Capitan. The scale of the second section just stretches too high for us to climb. Even if we double back into our second climbing sprint, once we get to the curved section of this upper wall, we are thrown off it. We aren't able to make it over the ledge by jumping. The wall's height is too high, so our normal ability won't work. And that's what makes getting these 1-ups really interesting, because you have to think outside the box. Keep in mind, if you were coming to this wall, you wouldn't even know the 1-ups are up there. You would just assume it was an unclimbable wall, by the way the second ramp feels like it is forcing you down, almost like an impassable barrier. So there's really 2 methods of getting these. You either have to understand speedrunning mechanics to break the game, or you'll need to call up a friend. The green star location in this level that requires a cat suit is technically across from this wall at like a 40-degree angle. However, the distance is too great for a typical player. But if you were to abuse the cat suit dive momentum to launch Peach outwards into a flying ability, she would be able to cross a gap before initiating a dive to the upper wall. Now, this isn't something a normal player is going to do. They are more than likely going to do option number 2, which involves booting up the game with more than one player. We need a second player because the height that your catsuit can climb is always the same distance. So the only way to increase our climbing distance is to actually land on the wall higher than we could achieve with just one player. We need the second player to boost us so our initial climb takes place higher on the wall. That way, when it comes down to climbing up the second section, we have a head start. By doing this, we can make it over the edge and finally scale this massive wall. And with that, we've finally done it. We follow this wall all the way back to the start of the level, and we can obtain those 3 absurd 1-ups we've been hunting for this whole time. But I can't help but think about how many more hidden 1-ups are out there just waiting to be documented. Some players may have found them, and up until now, it's been their little secret. I will always be on the hunt though, so if you want to come along for the ride, as I uncover all sorts of weird things in your favorite Nintendo games, subscribe right now. And until my next video, cheers.